is in great demand. In 2021 alone, there has been 408 million tons of paper in demand, and it's rising each and every year. In Indonesia, paper making has had lots of effects. Nevertheless, this is so for all areas around the world, because paper making involves fibers, mostly wood fibers, and these are obtained from deforestation, usually. In Indonesia, 88 million tons of greenhouse gases, specifically carbon dioxide, has been produced due to this. And this is not sustainable. As an alternative, we have found a waste, an agricultural crop waste, to be used as an alternative. Corn. Corn is an agricultural crop that is often planted in Indonesia, amounting to 34.4 million tons in production. And for each corn crop, it turns out that 50% of its weight amounts to the corn stalk waste produced during harvesting. Aside from this, corn husks are usually almost always removed during the process of selling or purchasing of corn. This can be seen through your local supermarkets or grocery stores. To be specific, corn stalk is referring to the stem of a corn crop. In this experiment, we're focusing on corn stalk pith, which is the innermost area. And we're focusing on corn husk as well, which refers to the covering of an ear of corn. Since these two are waste, we have decided to find out which may be more suitable for packaging paper, as packaging paper has been increasing in usage, especially in recent years during commercialized activities. And based on previous researches, these two materials indeed have different properties in terms of cellulose and in terms of fiber strength and fiber length, which all affects the quality of the paper. To test it more specifically, we have decided to make these two different kinds of paper and test its tensile strength.
As stated previously, there has been many adverse effects to obtain the wood raw materials needed to make paper packaging. Hence, our researchers aim to find more sustainable and eco-friendly substitutes to create paper packaging from corn materials, the corn stalk pith and the corn husks. By using these materials, we can reduce agricultural waste, reduce deforestation, and create a great paper packaging alternative all at the same time. In order to create the paper, we used scissors to cut off the husk or the stalk, a knife to chop the material into smaller pieces after boiling, a balance and 2 small baskets to weigh the materials and the sodium carbonate, a stainless steel pot for boiling the materials, a large sieve made of stainless steel mesh for filtering the sodium carbonate used to boil the straw, a blender, a framed screen to lift sheets of pulp out of the tub, a board larger than the screen for pressing and preliminary drying of the paper, a supply cloth during pressing and drying, a putty knife, pocket knife, or butter knife to help lift sheets of dried paper from where we left them to dry. And as for the materials and equipment used for testing, we used a ruler and pencil to mark and measure the midpoint of the paper, which is the center of the mass, scissors to cut the paper into smaller pieces, metal loads to test the tensile strength, a clamp during testing for support, and finally string to hang the paper on the clamp.
Here are the variables of our experiment.
To make the paper, first we cut our husk from the corn and cut the corn stalk to smaller pieces, then weigh the materials to 100 grams. After weighing, the materials are washed and placed into 2 steel pans to be boiled with water and soda ash for 2 hours. After boiling, the materials are then rinsed in cold water then beaten to form a thick pulp for blending. The mixture is then poured to a rectangular container to evenly distribute it. A mold is then used to strain the mixture. The material is now ready for drying, which starts by using a towel and wool felt with books stacked on it to start the drying process. The wool felt is removed after the paper has dried. These are pictures we took during the experiment. These are the steps to test the paper quality. To test the tensile strength, 3 sets of husk and corn stalk paper with a dimension of 5 cm in width and 7.5 cm in length were prepared with the mass being equal to its husk and stalk counterpart. Holes in the middle of the paper, the center of mass, were made on the paper to hook it on the iron stand and a set of known weights were added. The mass that causes the paper to rip is recorded as the tensile strength of the paper. This is prepared for each of the 3 paper strips to obtain the average tensile strength value.
During the testing, Here is our results. As you can see, cornstalk pith paper is slightly stronger than corn husk paper, but the difference is not that big.
The result of the study shows that printing paper made from cornstalk is slightly stronger than paper made from corn husk, although the difference in strength is not great. One important aspect is the noticeably longer time taken for cornstalk to dry compared to the corn husk paper. Energy usage and other economic factors still need to be considered and further tested before this paper can become viable commercially. The finding of this research also shows that there can be suitable alternatives to paper made from wood fibers that are more environmentally friendly and more durable, but still require further testing for the specific characteristic of packaging paper.
So much more future works that can be done with our experiment. For example, we can test more corn types and we can test different parts of the corn. We can also experiment more times and use different methods of testing, for example, the bending test, opacity test, and endurance or durability to water. We can also improve by using different concentrations of soda ash and using different amounts and mass of different materials, using different amounts of water. And we could also try to control the surrounding temperature and try to account for the amount of time spent on rinsing the paper. We could also try to control the thickness and or the volume of the paper next time. That's all for our presentation. Thank you!